Hello and welcome to another video, and in this video we're going to look at how to solve two-step equations. Now in the previous video I introduced you to the process of solving equations and we looked at one-step equations. So if you'd like to have a look at that video, please click on this link at the top of the screen. So in this video we're just going to extend that concept to two-step equations. Now I've got two examples that I'm going to go through with you, and then I'm going to give you lots of questions to give yourself some practice. So the first equation we've got is 2x minus 1 is equal to 13. Now the process of solving this is we want to get x on its own. We want to work out what this value of x is. So to get x on its own, what do? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of this negative 1. So to get rid of negative 1, we just do the opposite. So the opposite of subtracting 1 will be to add 1. So notice, if I add 1, notice that this negative 1 will just disappear because negative 1 plus 1 is 0. But we can't just add 1 to one side of our equation. That's not going to be balanced. We need to do exactly the same to the other side of the equation. So if we're adding 1 to the left, we need to add 1 to the right. And notice I'm not changing the value of the equation because we're doing the same to both sides. So what are we now left with? Well, on the left-hand side, we're just left with 2x, because notice these cancel out. And on the right-hand side, we've got 13 plus 1, which is 14. So now we have simplified it a bit, but notice we still don't have x on its own. At the moment, x is being multiplied by 2. So 2x, that just means 2 times x. So to get x on its own, we just do the opposite of multiplying by 2. And the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So we need to divide this by 2. And just like before, whatever we do to the left-hand side, we need to do exactly the same to the right-hand side. So I also need to divide the right-hand side by 2. And now what are we left with? Well, on the left-hand side, we're just left with x because the 2's will just cancel out. And on the right-hand side, I've got 14 divided by 2, which gives me 7. So my answer is x equals 7, and you can always check your answer by substituting your answer back into the original expression. So notice, if I substitute 7 where x is, I'm going to have 2 times 7, which is 14. 14 subtract 1 is indeed 13. So I know that this is definitely correct. Okay, let's go through another example. This time we've got x divided by 2 plus 3 is equal to 10. Now, again, I need to find the value of x, so I need to get x on its own. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this plus 3. And to get rid of plus 3, I just need to do the opposite. So the opposite of adding 3 is subtracting 3. So to get rid of this, I need to subtract 3. But notice, I can't just subtract 3 willy-nilly from the left-hand side. Whatever I do to the left-hand side, I need to do exactly the same to the right-hand side. So I also need to subtract 3. So what am I left with now? Well, on the left-hand side, I'm just left with x divided by 2, because 3 minus 3 is 0. Those just cancel out. And then on the right-hand side, 10 subtract 3, well, that will give me 7. So this is a lot nicer now. We've got x divided by 2 is equal to 7. So to get x on its own, the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. So I need to multiply the left-hand side by 2. And obviously I need to multiply the right-hand side by 2. So what are we now left with? On the left-hand side, we've just got x, because 2 divided by 2, these 2's just cancel out. And then on the right-hand side, 7 times 2, well, that will give me 14. So my answer is 14. And again, let's check that. 14 divided by 2, that is 7. 7 plus 3 is indeed 10. Now, before I give you some practice, there's a common question that people ask, and that is, why have I done it in this particular order? So why did I add 1 first and then divide by 2, and not divide by 2 first and then add 1? And similarly for over here, why didn't I multiply both sides by 2 first and then subtract 3? How do I know which order to do it in? And the answer to that is by using our orders of operation. So let me just give you an example down here. Now, what I've drawn at the bottom here is just a different representation of what I've got at the top. So let's think about the first example here. We're taking this value of x And notice the first thing that's happening to x is that it's being multiplied by 2. We're not subtracting 1 first, because remember, multiplication always comes before subtraction. So we are multiplying by 2 and then we're subtracting 1, and that gives me my answer of 13. So to work out what x is, we're just going to go in reverse. So we're just going to undo everything we've already done. So we're going to go backwards. So instead of subtracting 1, we're going to add 1. And then we're going to divide by 2, and that will get us back to our value of x. So that's why I've done it in this order, because we're just going in reverse. We're undoing the operations we've already done. And again, with the second example, we're taking our value of x. We're not adding 3 first and then dividing by 2. We're dividing by 2 first and then we're adding 3. So we're dividing by 2 and then adding 3. That gives me 10 as my answer. So to work out the value of x, we're just going to go in reverse. So we're going to undo everything we've done. So instead of adding 3, we're subtracting 3. That's the first thing I do. And then instead of dividing by 2, I'm multiplying by 2. And then that will give me my value of x. So you can almost think of it as BIDMAS in reverse. So usually when you're doing these operations to give you your answer, you're using BIDMAS. But to actually go back and work out what the input was, you're doing BIDMAS in reverse. So hopefully that makes sense as to why I've done it in this particular order. Okay, it's over to you now. I'm going to give you some practice questions to have a go at. So here we are. We've got 9 equations for you to solve. So pause the video and see if you can have a go at solving these equations. So I'm assuming you've paused the video. So let's go through them together now. The first question, 2x plus 3 equals 9. Remember, we want to get x on its own. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this plus 3. So if I subtract 3 from the left, that will get rid of that. But obviously, I can't subtract the 3 from just the one side. I have to subtract 3 from both sides to keep my equation balanced. And what I'm left with, I've still got that 2x. I've still got 2x. The 3's will cancel out with each other. So we can just get rid of those. And on the right-hand side, 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. 2x equals 6, so we just want to get rid of this 2 now. So if I divide the left-hand side by 2, because we're just doing the opposite of multiplying by 2, and if we divide the right-hand side by 2, what are we left with? Well, we've got x on the left, because the 2's will cancel, and on the right, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that is my answer. X is equal to 3. Okay, let's look at question number 2. 6x minus 12 equals 48. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of this negative 12. And to do that, we need to add 12. So if I add 12 to the left, I need to add 12 to the right. So we've still got that 6x. And then equals 48 minus 12 is equal to 36. Obviously, those just cancel out with each other. So we've got 6 times x equals 36. So we want to get rid of the 6. So if we divide the left by 6 and obviously divide the right by 6, the 6's cancel and we're going to be left with x is equal to 36 divided by 6 is 6. So that's my answer. X equals 6. Okay, question number 3. X divided by 3 plus 1 equals 5. So this time, to get x on its own, I'm going to get rid of this plus 1 first. So if I subtract 1 from the left and subtract 1 from the right, well, now I've still got that x over 3. So x divided by 3. The 1's just cancel. And on the right-hand side, 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. So now, finally, we're dividing by 3. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is to multiply by 3. So I need to multiply the left by 3. That will get rid of those 3's. And I need to multiply the right by 3. So on the left-hand side, well, the 3's just cancel and we're left with x. And on the right, 4 times 3 is 12. So my answer is x is equal to 12. Hopefully you're getting on quite well so far. So moving on to question number 4. 7y plus 2 equals 30. I want to get rid of this positive 2. So if I subtract 2 from the left and subtract 2 from the right. So what are we left with? We've got 7y. The 2's cancel. And then 30 minus 2 is 28. And then finally, to get y on its own, we need to divide both sides by 7. So divide the left by 7, divide the right by 7. So we're going to be left with y, because the 7's cancel, is equal to 28 divided by 7 is 4. So we get some nice integer answers for our answers, which is always nice when you see that, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're correct. Okay, question number 5. 8y minus 4 equals 20. So let's get rid of this negative 4. So if we add 4 to the left and add 4 to the right, we've got 8y on the left, because the 4's will just cancel. And then on the right, we've got 20 plus 4 is 24. And now 8y equals 24. Let's divide both sides by 8 to get y on its own. Divide both sides by 8. These 8's will just cancel. So we're just left with y on the left. And on the right, 24 divided by 8 is 3. So we get y equals 3 as our answer. Okay, question number 6. Y divided by 9 minus 8 equals 1. So I want to get rid of this negative 8 first. So if I add 8 to both sides, that will get rid of that. So we're left with y over 9 on the left. These cancel out. And then on the right, 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. And now to get rid of this 9, we need to multiply both sides by 9. So times the left by 9, times the right by 9. So these 9's will cancel. And we're left with y is equal to 9 times 9 is 81. Y equals 81 for the answer. Okay, question number 7. We've got 4x divided by 3 equals 8. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this 3 in the denominator. So instead of dividing by 3, to get rid of this, I need to do the opposite, which is multiply by 3. So I need to multiply the left by 3. And I need to multiply the right by 3. So on the left, the 3's will just cancel. So all we're left with is 4x. And on the right, 8 times 3 is 24. So 4x equals 24. And now to get rid of the 4, we just divide by 4. So divide both sides by 4. And we're left with x, because the 4's cancel, is equal to 24 divided by 4 is 6. So we've got x equals 6 for our answer. And just remember, you can check your answers by substituting your answer back into your original expression and just work out what the value is, and you should get the value on the right hand side. Okay, question number 8. X divided by 2 plus 8 equals 3. We want to get rid of this positive 8, so let's subtract 8 from both sides. So on the left, we're left with x divided by 2. The 8's will just cancel. And on the right hand side, we've got 3 subtract 8, which is negative 5. Don't be freaked out when you get a negative. It's perfectly normal. And now we just need to get rid of this 2. So if we multiply both sides by 2, that will get rid of the 2. So on the left hand side, well, those just cancel. We're just left with x. And then on the right hand side, negative 5 times 2, well, that will be negative 10. So just be careful with that one. That's my answer. X equals negative 10. And finally, we've got x plus 1 divided by 2 equals 9. So we first of all want to get rid of this 2 in our denominator. So if we multiply that by 2, that will get rid of the 2's. And obviously we need to multiply the right by 2. So on the left, the 2's will just cancel. So those just cancel out, and we're just left with x plus 1. And then on the right hand side, 9 times 2, well, that is 18. And now x plus 1 equals 18. Let's subtract 1 from the left, subtract 1 from the right. And we've got x. These ones will cancel out. And then on the right hand side, 18 minus 1 is 17. I had to think about that then for a second. But no, that is the answer. X equals 17. So how did you get on with those 9 questions? Hopefully you got them all right. But if not, hopefully me going through the questions and all of my workings out, hopefully that now helps with your understanding of how to solve these 2-step equations. So I'm going to continue this theme in the next video with solving equations. So we're going to take this a step further and look at some slightly trickier questions. But hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was useful, and hopefully I'll see you again for the next one. Take care.